Okay, first I just start by saying what day it is. It's Tuesday, May the 14th, 2013. I'm in the home of the Doyles on Church Street in Hopkinton, Aubrey and his wife Joan. And we're here to talk about your memories of growing up and living in Hopkinton. So is there anything that you've thought of over the last couple of days since I called you that...
Well, I was wondering, do you want to talk about Elm Street, where I was brought up, about
Sure.
the farms down there?
I'd love to hear about that.
Well, when I was growing up, there was Roaches who had animals at one time, but didn't one by that time. Then was Jerry Creedon, who had a big farm, who had a lot of cows, sold milk, sold meat.
When was this, roughly?
Well, 1940s and 50s, early 50s. Well, 40s, and because Jerry died in about 1950. And then Mr. Fairbanks had a farm right next door. He only had a couple of cows. Then my father had 35 acres.
Did he?
He had 4 or 5 cows. And then up the street, well, he had silver foxes too, my father. And Peacock was up the street. He had silver foxes.
Those are a kind of cattle?
No, silver foxes.
Oh, foxes,
For
actually.
the capes and fur coats.
Oh, for the pelts.
Yeah.
Really?
And then that kind of wasn't worth any money anymore, so Mr. Peacock got a bunch of cows. And of course Lee Claflin was up there too, and he had a bunch of cows.
Did your father grow any crops on his
Oh,
35
yeah.
acres?
Oh, yeah.
What did he grow?
Tomatoes, corn, everything, all kinds of vegetables.
Was it mostly farmers then, back in the 40s and
Well,
50s?
Yeah, but my father worked besides. He just farmed on the side.
What else did he do?
Well, he worked at Draper's. Well, first of all, he ran the WPA in town here when they put the water in from the bottom of Hayden Road down to the Ashland line, and then from Pleasant Street up to the Milford line. And then they put they put the new sidewalks in town.
Your father was busy.
Oh yeah,
How big was your family?
just 2, myself and my sister.
And did you grow up and go to school here,
Oh, yeah.
through high school?
Yeah,
You've always lived in Hopkinton?
yeah. Well, 4 years in college and 2 years in the service. I did.
What branch of the military were you?
The Army.
And then how did you meet your lovely wife?
Well, I was down in Georgia in the service. I met her.
Really?
Yeah.
And then you married and
Came back here.
brought her up here?
Yeah, she's only been here 57 years.
You're a newcomer.
Right.
And then you raised your family here.
Yeah, we had 7.
Did you really? Don't see that too often anymore.
No.
Are they all still local?
Well, one died when he was 23, but the others, yeah, there's 2 in Hopkinton, 1 in Upton, 1 in Uxbridge, 1 in Hopedale, and 1 in Auburn.
Well, not too far.
No,
That's nice. And so then tell us what you did for a living.
I taught school
Yep.
for 38 years.
Math, did you say?
Yeah.
At the grade
Hop-
school, high school?
Hopkins High School.
And how have you seen the school change in the time that you've lived here?
Well, when I was there, it was the smallest school in the Tri-Valley League, and now it's the biggest.
Really?
So, grown. All right, there were 25 in my class. My sister was a year later, and there were 17 in her class. Then the next year, there was, I think, 35. That was a big class.
It doubled.
Well, yeah. And, but then, when I started, there was about 60 in the classes.
When you started teaching?
Yeah. And by the time I get through, it was probably 100. But now it's 300.
Is it really?
So,
And did the building move from where you went to school?
well, I went to school on Main Street at the old high school, which is now office building. But then when I started teaching, I was up at what's now the middle school.
Okay.
That was the high school.
And you've always been a math teacher.
Yeah, well, I taught almost everything for a couple of years, but then I taught all the way up.
And what year did you retire?
1994.
Oh. And you've been happily retired here since?
Yeah, well, I owned a Star Package store for 12 years.
Oh, was that during the time that you were teaching or
Well,
after?
I bought it in 92, so I taught for 2 years and owned it, and then I owned it for 10 more after that.
And then you sold that?
Then I really retired.
So tell us about how you've seen Hopkinton change since you were a boy growing up here.
Well, when I grew up, the Sunoco station was Brown and Smith, and the post office was there.
Oh.
And Bill's Pizza was Wayne Hughes's store, and
What was that?
it was a variety store.
Oh.
And Dan Day had a clothing store right next to it, and Mrs. Cadell had a shop there, cloth, buttons, all kinds of stuff.
Like a tailor or
Well,
sewing?
no, she didn't sew, but she had all the sewing stuff.
Oh.
And then the bank came in there, and Fred Murphy came in there with his drugstore.
Is that the big drugstore that's on the...
No, it's where Bill's Pizza and the bank is now.
Oh, yes, yes.
There was, in the middle was Murphy's, and well, Brown and Smith, which was at the bottom of the hill with the post office, moved up, and they bought Wayne Hughes's business, and they moved up there because somebody else bought their building, and then Fred Murphy was in the middle, and then the bank took over and forced Fred out because they expanded. So, and then of course in '41 the big fire burned the building. Well, where the Masonic Hall is now,
Yes.
there was a big building there with the post office was there, a drugstore, Judge Riley's court was there, his office was there. What else was there? Something else, I can't think of what it was.
Tell us about the fire. What happened?
Well, it's 1941, and Ralph King was coming home from work. He worked at the Charlestown Navy Yard, and coming home at 1 o'clock in the morning or something, and he saw it, and they got up there, and they couldn't save it. I don't know. Well, it was January, it was icy, ice coming out all over the place. They just burned the whole thing.
Where did it start?
I don't know how it started.
But was it in a house or was it in a
Oh,
building?
no, it was in the building. It's a big building,
Oh.
big office building.
Was anyone hurt or killed?
No, nobody there.
Just
No.
it burned a lot of the buildings on Main Street?
Well, it burned that building.
Ah. I see. So that was in 41.
Yeah.
How else have you seen the town change as far as going from fairly rural and farming?
all the farms are now houses.
Development?
Well, look at over your way,
I know.
and they want to put more.
I know. Sad.
But
Time marches on.
yeah, well, I mean, there's Elm Street. I don't think there's a milking cow in town now. I don't think. I don't know. I know some people have beef cows, but I don't think there's a milking cow in the town.
You might be right.
I can't think of anybody that's got any.
Did that used to be the livelihood for a lot of the people that you grew up around?
Well,
Dairy cows?
well, they used to have cows, but everybody had cows because they needed the milk, and we raised calves and sold them for veal, and used some extra milk for the pigs, which we killed in the winter.
Mm.
But most people that had the cows worked too. They had other jobs.
Mm.
But like Lee Claflin ran the farm. That was it. Peacock ran the farm. Jerry Creedon ran the farm.
That was their primary
Yeah.
source of
and
income?
Macbeth, which is now where the Framingham Sportsman's Club was.
Yeah.
He ran the farm there. And Mann had a farm right on the corner of, Hayward Street and South Street, on where the construction company is now, whatever they rental.
Mm.
He had a farm there. He had a sawmill too. My father would bring logs up there, and they'd make boards out of them.
Right from your land, he'd
Yeah.
cut them down? Would he sell them, the lumber, or just from himself?
I don't know. I think he sold some of it, but they used to come in and cut the trees down every so often. Different people would come in and take the trees. He sold those. Yeah.
How do you think it's different raising a family in Hopkinton now as it was when you were growing up? What do you think is different about the town?
Well, every kid in town's got a car now.
That's true.
And when I was going to school, nobody drove to school.
Everybody walked?
Walked or took the bus. And, but nobody drove. There wasn't any parking anyway. I don't even know where the teachers parked, to be honest. And, but, and the, well, when I was growing up, everybody was poor. Let's face it, nobody had any money. It was depression.
Yeah.
Nobody, so yeah, everybody's poor, I know. Now, nobody's poor.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, let's face
Relatively.
they don't act it,
Yeah, that's true.
okay?
That's a good point.
I don't know how much they've got, but they certainly show plenty.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So, but
How long have you lived in this house?
for the 1958, so it'll be 55 years in December.
That's great. Has this neighborhood, just these few blocks here, changed since you? Has it been pretty much? It's pretty much the same as it was.
Yeah, they added on to Paradise's house across the street. And this was a funeral home, and now it's become two families, the next one over.
Ah.
And in fact, they're all, well, office building there, but all of these are apartments other than this house.
Oh, are they really? It's a nice location. I mean, you can walk for everything on Main Street if you.
Go to church right there.
Oh, really? What church is right there?
Catholic.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
So,
Well, do you have any favorite memories of raising your family here in Hopkinton, or maybe traditions or holiday memories that stand out in your mind from over the years?
yeah, I had great times with my kids, going to school and all that. I had them in school. So,
How close were they in age, the 7?
from the oldest one was born in 57 and the youngest was born in 68. 11 years.
You must be tired. How many boys and how many girls?
4 boys and 3 girls.
That must have been quite an adventure raising all them. Did they all go to school here then?
Oh yeah,
Were you teaching that? Were you their teacher?
yeah,
How was that?
great. I could see exactly what they were doing.
You could keep your eye on them. How'd they feel about that?
No, I don't think they liked it too much. There's nothing they could do about it. I was the only math teacher. Well, I mean, there's a couple by the time they got there, but.
Do you have grandchildren now? I'm sorry.
21.
21 grandchildren? Wow.
And
That's-
1 great-grandchild.
Oh, congratulations. That's really an accomplishment. That's great.
Yeah, one of my grandsons just got married April 28th. So.
That's really something to be able to see that. That's great. Did you ever participate in the town politics or anything of that
Well, I
nature?
ran for planning board once and didn't get elected, so I never ran again.
Ah,
But I was on the historical commission.
Were you?
Yeah, for years. Well, quite a few years.
Oh, so you're familiar.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What about the marathon? Have you ever, or the Horribles Parade? Do you have any memories of those things?
I was Grand Marshal one year at the Horribles Parade.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Just rode at the front of the parade, that's all.
Is that when the parade was a lot bigger than it is?
Yeah, no, not much bigger. Well, probably a little bigger. But
What year was that?
1994, 95, something like
What responsibilities come with being the Grand Marshal of the Horribles?
that. Nothing, just sit in the front seat of the car and ride.
Was that a political appointment, or how did that?
Oh, I don't know how they decided on it.
That's an honor.
Yeah, I guess. But it didn't matter. But, yeah, but the parade, of course, years ago, it used to come down Church Street and go a lot of other places too. But now they just go one route.
Is it on Main Street now? I haven't
Yeah,
seen it.
goes up Hayden Road to Pleasant, to Grove, then down Pleasant, back up Main. That's all.
And it's on the 4th of July?
Yeah.
Were your kids a part of that? Did they make
Oh,
make
yeah.
floats?
Well, they were. My son is on one every year with from Elm Street. He lives on Elm Street. He bought my father's, well, he bought bought a couple of acres of my father's land and tore down the old house because he couldn't fix it and built a new one. He used some of the flooring and beams and so forth in his house.
Had it gotten kind of run down and?
Oh, my father's, yeah.
Yeah, it was just too hard to fix back up.
Well, he was going to fix it. He bought it to fix it, and tore the boards off, and the sill was rotten, all gone. There's nothing you could do.
No.
I mean, if you wanted to put $2 million into it, you could have, but you know.
Who has that kind of money?
He didn't have that kind of money, so.
So he lives on that same plot of land
Yeah,
that
he just dug a hole and had a foundation put in, and built his house there.
Did you buy this house or did you build it?
No, I bought it.
This one was built?
Only one family lived here before me, though.
Really? When was this house built?
About 1890.
It seems very strong. It's not going in.
So far, so good. But
well, can you think of any other stories that we haven't touched on that you were?
well, I remember the night of VJ Day, the Green Lantern burned up here on Hayden Row on Pleasant Street.
Really?
It was a big old house. It was gone completely. Nobody lived there. But somebody set it off that night.
Did they ever figure out who did that?
No. Well, they probably knew, but they didn't. They didn't do anything. It was just as well it was gone anyway. Then they built 4 houses there in that little spot.
Crammed 4 in where one was?
Yeah. But it was a big house, and
That was VJ Day?
yeah. That's a few years ago. But
What year were you in the military?
54, 55, 56.
So that was after...
College.
Okay. And where did you go to college?
Brown University.
Oh. And you studied math?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, any other stories that we didn't touch on that that stick out in your mind?
No. Nothing I can...
Remember?
We used to play hockey all the time down at the Ice House Pond, where Golden Pond is, the pond right next to that.
Oh, yes.
And we used to play hockey all winter there.
Ice hockey on the pond?
Oh, yeah.
All the kids from the neighborhood?
Well, all kids from all over town who could get there. But they used to they had the ice house there. And they'd cut the ice every so often and put it in the ice house. And so you'd have good ice again because it would freeze right up again.
Oh, the ice house, is that what they would use for refrigeration?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, well, so the Iceman would come in the summer. In winter, they didn't bother at all. But in the summer, he'd come twice or 3 times a week. You'd have a little sign that you'd had 25, 50, 75 size piece of ice you want. Put it in your window. He'd bring the ice in and put it in the old cooler.
Really?
Yeah.
And they kept it in the house on the pond. They'd cut it up in the wintertime? And
Well, no, they cut the ice on the pond, put it on the chute, and put it in the storage, and they had somebody in there, and they put the sawdust all over it to keep it for the summer.
Yep.
And then in the summer they'd go in and chip off, well, take out a block of ice and chip it up and send it and bring it to the houses.
And it would be delivered whatever size you needed?
Right.
And then you had it in your ice box. How long would that keep your things cold? A couple weeks?
Oh no.
A couple days?
A couple of days. Yeah.
So you'd have to have ice delivered a couple times a week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never had to do that.
Yeah, well, we did.
He sure you did.
But
That's interesting.
well, in the winter we'd kill a pig and then hang it up in the attic to freeze.
Of your house?
Yeah.
Did it smell?
No.
Well, I guess it was cold.
Cold. It froze. You couldn't do that today. It doesn't freeze that much. But there was no heat in the attic, of course.
Yeah.
But it just freeze. You'd go up there and chop it and take what you want off.
For dinner?
Well, yeah.
Or for the week?
Yeah.
So that was your refrigerator, was just keeping it in the attic for the winter?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that'd be the pig we killed.
Yep.
And then beef, you'd buy at the store. Chickens and ducks and geese we had ourselves. So
Did you have those on your farm too?
killed them.
For eggs? Did you use them for eggs and
Oh,
then
yeah.
eat them too?
Yeah.
Different time, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, even when we first lived here, my father still had a few animals. He always had hens up until about the 1980. We got our eggs there. Had the duck eggs, goose eggs every so often.
You eat all of those?
Well,
The goose
duck-
eggs are tough to eat.
They're pretty big.
They are big.
But she could use them for cooking and stuff. And the duck eggs, we didn't eat the duck eggs. My father liked the duck eggs, but I didn't.
I've never had one.
They're
So-
strong.
Well, you sound like you get a lot of food right from your, I mean, a lot of the
yeah,
meat, the eggs.
We were never hungry. Had plenty of food. We had plenty of milk. Made our own butter from the milk, from the
Did you?
cream.
Your mother would, or did you know how to do that?
My mother would, but we know how to do it. You just
I know.
churn.
That's it?
That's it. Just churned it, and eventually turned the butter.
Milk?
Cream.
Cream.
We had a separator, and you'd put the whole milk in there, and the cream would come out one spout, and the skim milk would come out the other. The skim milk would go to the pigs or the hens or somebody, and the cream we'd make butter out of.
And would you hand churn it, or how did it?
No, hand churn.
And then after how long it becomes butter?
Oh, half an hour or so.
And then it's butter. I never knew that. That's great.
I don't think you could do it with the cream today. I mean, you could if you got it from the cow. You could, but
Yeah.
I think they
Add who
so
knows?
much stuff to it. I don't think you could do it today.
Sure.
But I don't know. But
Well, anything else that you?
no,
Well, I really appreciate you sharing your stories. This will conclude our interview. Then it's May 14th, and we're in the home of Aubrey Doyle on Church Street, and that concludes our interview.
now how did you get?